Hi, my name is Monet, and today I'll be going over some information, kind of putting an end cap on the information we've gone over so far in our various classes. So, beginning with the adaptations that aerobic exercise has on the physical body, we're going to go over a few different, two actually, uh, a laboratory assessment and a field assessment. So, at the end of the presentation, you should be able to identify two important physiological adaptations, if I do my job properly, that occur within a regular aerobic bout of exercise. So, again, comparing a laboratory assessment and a field assessment, we use these to evaluate cardiorespiratory fitness, including the advantages and the limitations of each, and why laboratory testing is considered to be the gold standard. So, looking at our visual, I know that my head is kind of covering some of the information, but first one is going to be increased stroke volume. The stroke volume refers to the amount of blood that the heart pumps in with each heartbeat. As an individual participates in regular aerobic exercise, the heart becomes stronger and more efficient at its job. The left ventricle adapts by creating a greater volume of blood during each contraction. And because blood is delivered with every beat, the heart doesn't need to beat as frequently to meet the body's demands, oxygen demands specifically. This results in a lower resting heart rate and improved cardiovascular efficiency. Um, in addition, the increased delivery of oxygen and nutrients to the working muscles allows the individual to exercise longer before becoming fatigued. This is something that we've talked about in previous classes and previous videos, but just going over that again, these cardiovascular adaptations improve exercise overall and performance and overall heart health. Moving on. Increased mitochondrial density is also another benefit. Number two, if you can see where the mitochondria is, a little image of that. The mitochondria are often referred to as the powerhouse of all of the cell, something we've learned since we were in elementary school, because they produce ATP, and ATP is the body's primary energy source during aerobic exercise. Regular aerobic exercise and training stimulates the production of additional mitochondria and increases oxidative enzyme activity within the skeletal muscle. Aerobic exercise also increases capillary density. I think it says that there in one of the bullet points, which allows oxygen and nutrients to reach muscle tissue more efficiently while removing metabolic waste products. These adaptations improve endurance, they help with fatigue, help delay fatigue, and increase the body's ability to sustain prolonged bouts of physical activity. Moving right along, if we're talking about our laboratory test now, moving on, the laboratory test is going to be the VO2 max test. I selected this one, which is considered to be the gold standard for measuring cardiorespiratory fitness, because it is the gold standard. So during this test, an individual exercises on a treadmill or a a cycle ergometer while wearing a metabolic mask that measures oxygen consumption and carbon dioxide production. Because oxygen uptake is measured directly, this assessment provides the most accurate measurement of aerobic capacity that we're able to properly identify. The primary advantage of the VO2 max test is its high level of accuracy, and although it is accurate according to standard, it also does have several limitations. It requires expensive equipment, which not everyone does have access to, a trained personnel, staff, and maximal effort from the participant, which may not be something that everyone can accomplish. Um, Not very universal. But for these reasons, it's not always practical or appropriate for beginners or large classes to participate in or with this test. And if we're talking about a field test, the field assessment I selected is going to be the Rockport. 1 mile walk test, which I mentioned in my worksheet. This is a submaximal test that estimates VO2 max during the participant's walking time. It calculates or takes account of their walking time, their heart rate, their age, sex, body weight, a few demographic identifiers as such. It is inexpensive, it requires very little equipment, and it can be easily administered to large groups. The Walkport walk test is a little bit more appropriate for people that have been pretty much sedentary for the majority of their lives because it is safe, it's practical, and it doesn't require participants to exercise to like submaximal efforts, doesn't require exercise to exhaustion. Um, Although it is less accurate than laboratory testing, it does provide a reasonable estimate of cardiorespiratory fitness and is commonly used in community and clinical settings. Moving right along, the laboratory test versus the field test. Now we get to combine the two and kind of see which one recognize their strong points and also their weaknesses at the same time. So when comparing these assessments, the VO2 max laboratory test provides the most accurate measurement because it directly measures maximal oxygen consumption. However, it does require specialized equipment, like I mentioned, trained personnel, controlled laboratory environment settings. But on the contrary, the Rockport walk test estimates aerobic fitness rather than measuring it directly, making it a little bit less accurate. And even though it is less accurate, it is significantly less expensive. It does not require expensive equipment, very little equipment, and it can be administered safely to a large number of participants. For an aerobics class, consisting of previously sedentary adults, I would choose the Rockport walk test because it does balance a few of the things we're looking for. It balances safety, practicality, and effectiveness while still allowing for meaningful improvements in cardiorespiratory fitness that we can measure over time. So overall, regular aerobic exercise, um, it's important to kind of weigh the pros and cons like we just did. We talked about the benefits and the drawbacks, the strong points and the weaknesses. Um, Aerobic exercise overall provides and produces important cardiovascular and physical, like muscular adaptations that improve endurance and overall health. It increases stroke volume, which allows the heart to pump blood more efficiently, which is always a good thing, while increased mitochondrial density enhances the muscle's ability to produce energy aerobically. When assessing cardiorespiratory fitness, laboratory testing does provide the highest level of accuracy, but field assessments such as the Rockport 1 mile walk test are often more practical and a better choice for beginners in community exercise programs. The laboratory assessment I selected is the direct VO2 max test, which is considered to be the gold standard, as we mentioned already. But during this assessment, excuse me, during this assessment, kind of already recapping, participants put on the mask, wearing their metabolic mask, and measure the oxygen that they consume and the carbon dioxide that they produce during the test. This allows clinicians to directly determine maximal oxygen uptake or VO2 max, and that directly translates or reflects the individual's aerobic capacity. Getting towards the end of our number 2 question here, part B, because oxygen consumption is measured directly, the VO2 max test provides the highest level of accuracy and again is considered the gold standard for trained personnel. We kind of mentioned the 1 mile brisk walk, that it estimates VO2 max, not a direct measurement, but an estimation. It's safe for beginners and it's low cost and easy to administer. And that is pretty much it. Thank you for listening. Hopefully, I've broken it down a little bit more, so we are able to understand efficiently what stroke volume is, and maybe why we would choose a certain field test versus a laboratory test.